Rolling blackouts are becoming more common every single summer. When the power cuts out in triple-digit heat, it's more than just an inconvenience. It can be dangerous. In today's video, I'll walk you through 11 practical, affordable, and potentially life-saving ways to prepare for summer power outages, even if you're on a tight budget. From keeping your food safe to staying cool without air conditioning, these tips will help you ride out the blackout without the stress. Hello everyone and welcome to SuttonsDaze. If you're new here, my name is Lisa and we are all about pantry preparedness. I went down a rabbit hole about a week or so ago because I keep hearing about the potential for rolling blackouts. I'm like, I don't think I've ever been in part of a rolling blackout. I remember as a kid in the Metro Detroit area that there seemed to be a period of time where we were experiencing brownouts. Really bad for your appliances, by the way. But that was all I remembered. I didn't remember rolling blackouts. But I know I've heard of them for a long time, and so I decided to jump down the rabbit hole. And then after finding everything, I thought, oh yeah, I want to share this. Let me give you some interesting information. I've got some notes here. And I've got all the links down below. According to the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, NERC, several U.S. regions face elevated risks of rolling blackouts during the summer of 2025. This is primarily due to increased electricity demand, extreme weather conditions, and the retirement of traditional power plants. Wow, okay. The different regions, because I'm like, okay, tell me kind of where this is going to happen. Like, I'm in Michigan. Like I said, I've been here most of my life and I've never experienced this. So tell me where this is going to happen. So number one, Mid-Continent Independent System Operator, MISO, in the Midwest, covering parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, is at high risk of blackouts even under normal peak conditions. This is attributed to the retirement of 1,575 megawatt of natural gas and coal-fired generation since last summer, leading to reduced supply. Number two is Electric Reliability Council of Texas. And Texas faces significant challenges, it says, especially during early evening hours when solar power generation decreases, but demand remains high. The state has experienced over 7,100 major outages since May 2019 to August 2023, totaling approximately 35,000 hours without power. Again, links down below. Number three, California. California's grid is under stress due to prolonged heat waves, wildfires, and the retirement of dispatched power plants. While the state has added significant solar and battery storage capacity, challenges remain in meeting peak demand during extreme conditions. Number four, Southwest Power Pool, Central U.S., indicates states like Nebraska and part of New Mexico are vulnerable due to low wind power generation during peak demand periods. The variability of wind energy can disrupt the balance between supply and demand, increasing the risk of blackouts. New England faces elevated risks of power shortfalls during periods of extreme heat and high humidity. The region's reliance on aging infrastructure and the retirement of fossil fuel-powered plants contribute to its vulnerability. Contributing factors to elevated blackout risks. Wait, we haven't even got started. Increased electricity demand driven by the proliferation of energy-intensive data centers, manufacturing plants, and the electrification of transportation. Electricity demand has surged, projected to be 10 gigawatts higher than last summer because everything's going electric, right? Retirement of traditional power plants is another factor. The closure of over 7 gigawatts of fossil fuel power generation, including coal and natural gas plants, has reduced the availability of dispatchable power sources. Reliance on renewable energy. The shift towards renewable energy sources like solar and wind introduces variability. as these sources are intermittent and large-scale battery storage is still insufficient to compensate for their fluctuations. And then extreme weather conditions. Above average summer temperatures and prolonged heat waves increase electricity demand for cooling and can lead to forced outages of generation and transmission equipment. I mean, the cards are kind of stacked against us, right? So how can we best prepare for rolling blackouts? Remember, all the links to all of that information is down below in the description box. So how do we prepare for rolling blackouts this summer? These are the top 11 things that I have found that I think will be the most help. Okay, so number one is to charge everything in advance. I've talked about my battery banks and that kind of thing and how I have numerous of them plugged in. You know, you need to some extent, you need them plugged in, that you cannot charge them when the power goes out. So they need to be charged and ready to go. Fully charge your phones, your tablets, your power banks, your rechargeable fans, and solar lights before peak hours. That's the key right there. Typically, that is late afternoon to early evening. Figure 3 to 8, you know. And keep a charging schedule if you're expecting intermittent power. Typically, from what I recall, and you guys can correct me on this if you deal with these on a regular basis, but if I recall, you will actually get notified if they're expecting to have to do this. There will be some kind of notification. So it's best to be prepared in advance and make sure all your stuff is charged. Unplug it for part of the, you know, after 9 o'clock or whatever, unplug it, plug it back in the morning for a few hours to charge before that peak period. And then you're not killing the electric bill theoretically, but you know, you still have your stuff charged. Number two is to invest in backup power sources. This is really important. Especially if you live in a super hot climate, you know, where you're dealing with triple digits more frequently than say I am, where I'm wearing a sweater in June, thank you. You know, you want to make sure that you've got some backup power. So first is the battery banks. And I've discussed those in different videos. Solar chargers, if it's applicable, right? Gas or solar generators. And I will suggest that if you are going to do gas, that you do propane, because propane literally lasts for years and years, okay? So find a dual fuel generator, and even if it's only for the sole purpose of running your freezers and your refrigerator, you know, there are ways to make it happen. So they're not all priced stupid, and you don't need a Generac, you know, but you do need something to keep those freezers and refrigerator going if this is something that you expect to be incoming on a regular basis. That would be my biggest concern. And if I lived in an area where that was a major concern, not only would I make every attempt humanly possible to get some kind of generator to run the freezer and the refrigerator, I would start canning the stuff that's in the freezer, if it's applicable. You know, can the turkeys and the chicken and, you know, everything else, because that doesn't require electricity. That right there is a big reason why I love canning proteins as much as I do. Also look at different power stations, like say Jackery, EcoFlow, Blue Yeti. Those models can run CPAPs, fans, and even coffee makers. That's important. Yes, it is. Number three, you want to prep some no-cook and shelf-stable meals, you know? So this is a great time to practice with some of those preps. Find ways to heat it on your barbecue, on a propane burner, in a fondue pot. You know, easy one-jar meals like beef stew or soup or, you know, whatever. Stock up on cans of tuna, on cans of soup, protein bars, crackers, peanut butter, because peanut butter is life, and the things like the instant noodles, you know, if you can eat them. If you can't eat them, there is something that you can eat that can become an instant meal. Just got to sit down, get a little thought, you know. Plan some no-cook meals you can even eat if the stove doesn't work. Well, if your stove doesn't work, you should have a backup way to heat food anyway, like the fondue pot. Consider using a camp stove, a rocket stove, or a propane burner. You know, there's all different methods out there. I've talked about a lot of them before, and I'll link up some videos at the end of this. Number four, you definitely want to keep an eye on storing water. This is important, even if it's not a complete end of the world as you know it, you know, with the power going on and off and on and off and on and off, stuff can malfunction with that. So you want to make sure that you have stored enough water. Municipal water may still run, but well pumps won't. So if you're on a well, yeah. And water treatment can be affected, even though it would be pretty extreme if it actually went to that case, you know. So just in case, stock up on some water. At least, my recommendation, 2 gallons per person and animal per day. One of those 40 bottle packs of bottled water at Walmart is under $6. So that's 5 gallons right there. Or you can pick up the gallon jugs of water. Super easy. You're not going to save them forever. Don't plan on saving them forever. Be realistic here, okay? And you want to rotate through those. But to get through this upcoming summer and the potential for blackouts, that's something you want to have around and keep around, and you want to keep backfilling. Have some kind of water filter if you can, and purification tablets, and learn how to use them. Owning them is not enough. That doesn't help you at all when it comes time to finally need to use them. Learn how to use them before the need. One of the things that you definitely want to take into consideration is multiple light sources. It's summertime. It's summertime. I love it. The sun comes up about 5:30 here and doesn't go down until about 9:30 at night. And even then I can still see outside. I love summertime, but you know, we're coming up on solstice. And so summertime hours will start decreasing shortly, you know, in about a week or so, which is really a bummer. But multiple light sources. So look at your flashlights, your headlamps, your battery lamps, glow sticks even, okay? Solar garden lights, we talk about those all the time. Put them in your window, let them charge, do their thing. You really want to try to stay away from candles inside, but I've shown you guys before, I have the battery operated candles that I use all the time. I have them on a timer, 365 days a year. I change out the batteries the same time that I do the smoke detector and the carbon monoxide and everything else, right? It's a whole plan twice a year. But they last, they turn on when I need them, and they turn off sometime about 6 hours later. They're a great thing to have around. And you can adjust it so that you can turn them on if you need them during that off time. Definitely some kind of backup light. Staying cool without air conditioning is number 6, okay? It's hard, I know, when you're looking at triple digits, right? But close the blinds and the curtains before the sun hits them. My living room faces south. Yes. And so we get that sun in the afternoon. It's enough to where we don't have to burn wood on sunny days in the wintertime because it heats up the living room that much. I mean, it's just phenomenal in the wintertime. In the summertime, the shades are pulled. Yes, they are. So you want to find a way to block those off. Use battery or hand fans, you know, to get the air moving. Cooling towels, cool showers if it's a, you know, option. Stay in the lowest level of your home if you have a lower level during those peak hours. That's also one of the hotter times of the day, you know, so if you have a cooler place in your house, like a basement or a, you know, some kind of lower level, that's the place to hang out. Or sit outside underneath a shade tree, read a book. It's a beautiful thing. Number 7, you want to pay particular attention during these rolling blackouts, right? To preserving fridge and freezer food. So like I mentioned, if you don't have some kind of generator in order to take over, then that's something you want to focus on. That is definitely something to focus on. And I can't even recommend one for you, okay? You just need one that will run your freezer or run your freezer and your refrigerator. And then just a little bit of knowledge to figure out how to hook it up when the power goes out. You want to freeze water bottles. So save some of those water bottles, freeze them to hold and put them in the refrigerator to hold the cold in the fridge and the freezer when the power goes down. So, you know, if you can make room in either one of those for some frozen water bottles, that will definitely help. And then keep those doors closed. After that, don't touch them. Don't do it. Avoid opening the doors. A full freezer can stay cold for up to 48 hours. A full freezer, okay? And a fridge, about 4 hours. I've had my fridge last longer than that, but to each his own, okay? I guess you would be very careful with anything like dairy, you know, that kind of thing. So use thermometers to monitor the temperatures, and toss perishables if it's over 40 degrees Fahrenheit for more than 2 hours. Somebody commented in the group that a neighbor of a friend or something, their freezer got unplugged or whatnot. And so it had been like 4 hours. And so they were getting ready to toss everything in there. What? No. After 4 hours, it's still frozen. I can all but guarantee that. So be really careful where you source your information on this from and share the knowledge, you've got 48 hours. And if you keep it closed and don't mess with it, then you can definitely keep 99% of it. Maybe the very top layer will have become completely defrosted. And that is most likely ice cream, because nobody buries their ice cream, right? Number 8, if it's at all humanly possible, and I know it's not, okay? I know it's not for everybody, but adjust your daily routines. And I fight that all the time. That's one of the reasons why I really don't want to sign up for that peak usage bonus, blah, blah, whatever they're calling it, with the electric company, is because I do stuff when I can do stuff, period. So if I have to do a load of laundry in the middle of the afternoon, I don't want to pay double for it, but you want to do things like when you're sleeping at night, in the middle of the night, when nobody else is using power. If you have ever been impacted with your internet service from, say, 2 o'clock until 9 o'clock at night, the bandwidth is impacted when the kids get out of school and everybody starts getting off work and everybody starts streaming everything and everybody's online and they're gaming and they're doing everything else, right? That brings the bandwidth down if you're impacted, and that can mess a person up, right? So it works the same way with electricity. So if you plan on doing those things that, use power, plan on doing them not during peak hours. And you can check with your electric company to find out what the peak hours are. Cook, clean, and charge devices early in the day. Now, I'm a morning person, so I'm like, yay, I got that one, right? Before the scheduled blackouts. Plan errands and tasks around the outage window. Errands and tasks. What do I have to do? I can run here and I can run there because the power is pretty much going to be non-existent at home. So that's a really good time to maybe go grocery shopping or go to the library if they're open still, or go to the beach or whatever, Number 9, unplug electronics during outages. When you're talking about a blackout situation, you want to get stuff unplugged. Prevent surges when the power returns. So if you don't already have the surge protectors with your major appliances, like your freezers, your refrigerators, your dishwasher, your stove, potentially your televisions, honestly, it's just easier to go get surge protectors. But if you don't, get them unplugged before it comes back on. Use surge protectors or unplug items like TVs, microwaves, and computers. I always do. That's like the first thing after the power goes out and I know it's going to be more than 5 minutes. Those things start getting unplugged because I'm not risking it. That's too much money to have to spend when they decide to kick it back on. Number 10 is to stay informed. I have no power. How do you want me to stay informed? Let me tell you. Keep a battery or hand-cranked NOAA radio, okay, for updates. In the blackout in the early 2000s, I think it was 2003, I literally got all my news by sitting on my front porch listening to my neighbor hand crank her LL Bean hand crank radio. That's the only way I knew. I didn't even know that was a thing back then, right? It is, and they're really handy to have. So a hand crank radio helps a lot. Sign up for local outage alerts from your utility company. If they're anything like my utility company, it's real haphazard, but I do sometimes get notified that the power is back on, a day later. But I do get notified that the power is out, sometimes. About 50%, I'd say. Know when your region is scheduled for potential rolling outages. Again, they will most likely make this a very loud announcement. This will be on the news. It will be in the paper. You'll probably get a text if you're signed up for texts. Phone calls possibly, those robocalls or whatever they are. But there's ways that you can sign up, and that is on your utility's website, or you can call them and find out how to do it that way. Last but not least, this one's super important, and I hazard a guess that for a lot of people, it's not high on the list, But number 11 is to have a backup plan for medical needs. There's a lot of people out there that need different machinery in order to function well, okay? Whether that is oxygen or CPAP machines or whatever. So if anyone relies on powered medical equipment, contact your utility to be on a priority list. They have them. I don't know what good they do, but they have them. So it never hurts to try, okay? Store cooling meds in an insulated bag with cold packs. You don't want them to be frozen, but you do want them to stay cool. So maybe put a washcloth or something in between to make sure they don't freeze, okay? Battery backup is super important in this case. So a small power station may be needed for your CPAP machines or your oxygen machines. And that's where things like the Blue Yeti or, whatever come in handy. Those are things you want to check out too. As a super quick summary, okay, residents in high-risk areas, you know who you are, you've been doing this, right? Should consider the following preparations. Backup power solutions, invest in some kind of generator, battery storage, that kind of thing to maintain those essential things during the blackout period. Energy efficiency, we all should be doing it anyway. Implement energy saving measures throughout your house, okay? Stay informed. It's hard, I know, because you have to wade through a whole bunch of nonsense, but stay informed in any way that you can. Reach out to your utility company. Have them send you text. Have them send you emails. Set up alerts so that if anything is posted, it, sends you something. Definitely set up emergency kits. This is a great time to grab like a 5-gallon bucket or something, right? And prepare kits with the essentials like flashlights, batteries, non-perishable food, and some bottles of water. Handy to have around, easy to find, and you're good to go. For a more detailed overview of the 2025 summer reliability assessment, right? I'm going to put a link down below for NERC's official report. It's kind of like watching paint dry, but it has some good information. The world, she is a-changing, my friends. Yes, she is. And it's not getting any easier, is it? So we have to do everything that we can to be prepared to the best of our ability during these weird times that we live in. I don't think this kind of issue is going to go away anytime soon. Our grid is a hot mess and has been for a long time. And, they focus on other stuff instead of that. So you have to prepare for yourself because nobody's coming to save you, my friends. They're not coming to save me. They're not coming to save you. You have to do it for yourself. Becoming prepared is the best way to do it. If you want to see some more ideas on different things that you can use during a power outage, check out this playlist right here. And remember, my friends, be safe. Keep stacking it to the rafters.